welcome back. I hope you guys are all doing so well. It's currently Saturday morning and I'm super excited because I'm finally filming a video that I have been planning on making since before I even started my YouTube channel. And I'm going to talk about everything that went wrong while we were building our house. Now, I just need to give a little bit of a disclaimer that I absolutely love and adore my builders. Everyone that we worked with was amazing. They were so kind, super knowledgeable, and I felt like we truly became friends during that process, and it was just a 10 out of 10 experience. But to be completely honest, if you go into building a house thinking that nothing is gonna go wrong, it's gonna go completely smoothly, everything perfect, that's very, very naive because things are bound to go left. There's a ton of vendors, there's lots of communication going from A to B to C back to A. It's just a very, very lengthy, detailed process. And there were some things that were very minimal that were easily fixed. And then there were some things where I came to the house, me and Mom came to the house, and I was like, oh, another mistake. I wrote everything down that I could remember because, mind you, it has been like 2+ years since we even started the building process, and my brain surprisingly does not remember as many details as I thought I would. But luckily I do have a lot of like pictures and videos during this time because I knew that I was eventually going to start my YouTube channel, so I was kind of like documenting and had it in my back pocket for whenever I did kind of share some more details about that experience. So yeah, I just want to reiterate, I loved, absolutely adore my builder. I'm just sharing this because it's truly just what happened, and I kind of want to set the expectation, the precedent for you guys. If you guys are going to build, show some grace because all of the issues that we ran into, I knew were going to be fixed. They were fixed quickly, and at the end of the day, they really didn't add too much time to our timeline, and we are in our house right now. So really, everything went super smoothly in hindsight, and mistakes just happen. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Not going in any particular order because I don't remember the timeline in which all of these events even happened. First, pretty major thing that probably was my biggest stress was actually the shower. I believe I've talked about our shower before in a previous video, but I don't exactly remember how into detail I went. We ended up building with a custom builder. Every single thing in this house we had the liberty to choose ourselves, but the one thing that I really did not put my hands all the way in was the shower. I believe it was our first selections meeting, which was with our building consultants, and the selections meeting is where you pick almost everything minus a few major things. So some things that were not done at that selections meeting includes like kitchen cabinetry and countertops, bathroom cabinetry and countertops, laundry room cabinetry. We also went elsewhere for like our garage door consultation. Our lighting was somewhere else, and then the smaller things were all sampled or in catalog form at our builder's office. Things such as floors, doors, wall colors, windows, outlets, light switches, stone, siding, roof, toilet paper holders, towel holders, stuff like that. Before the selections meeting, obviously I already kind of had an idea of what I wanted the house to look like. I had a ton of inspiration. So the meeting was long, obviously as anticipated. Juan and I, we actually both took the whole day of work off on that day and just focused on that meeting. So the shower setup for the master bathroom was actually the last thing that we looked at. None of the samples that they had was anything that I really liked, so we kind of left that as nothing at that point. And then later on, I was texting one of my building consultants, and I love her. She's the sweetest ever, and she totally always saw my vision and knew exactly what I was going for. So I sent her the inspo picture and she loved it. However, I'm not sure if it was at that point I showed them my inspo pic or if it was a few days later that I sent them something that I kind of liked. And it was kind of similar to my backsplash from my kitchen where it's kind of like imperfect tiles. It was the same thing, but instead of being squares, it was vertical rectangles. But the way that she had kind of described it back to me was just like a subway tile, and then the floor was gonna be a pebble. I was always super anxious to finally see the shower because, like I said, that's something that we didn't specifically pick out. So I had no idea what it was going to look like. And I remember we didn't come to the house for a few days because we were out of town. our first day back in town, of course, we came to see the house and they started putting up the wall, and there it was, white subway tile, which honestly I did not like, mainly because our previous house had subway tile, and after seeing the subway tile, I was like, oh, that's what she meant by subway tile. It wasn't the tile that I had shown her, like the imperfect rectangular thin tiles. Is me not liking it was not the ultimate problem, because at the end of the day, I did confirm, yes, white subway tiles, the floor, yes, okay. I was trying super hard to like it, and I really didn't like it, but I kept saying in the back of my mind, maybe it just looks weird because it's not grouted yet. Once they have grout, maybe it'll look completely different. So I come back to the house a few days later and I go to the shower anxiously. Like, I came to the house because I wanted to see, did they grout it? Because they were in progress with the shower, and they grouted it the wrong color. So I should say I chose white to be the grout color. Surprise, obviously I have a lot of white in my house. So it was gonna be white tile, white floors, and then white grout. The inserts were gonna be white, everything white. The shower was just gonna be all whited out. And trust me, I have video, so I'll insert that here. We told our builder about the little mistake that happened. We asked for white grout and they accidentally put black or gray, so they're gonna fix that. Wondering if that will get changed as well. And also right in here, there's a little like shampoo / soap compartment, so I'm wondering if they'll change that as well, since we had originally asked for white grout. It was black and it looked terrible. Mind you, I already did not like how it looked, and I was kind of hoping that the grout was gonna make it look better. So seeing it black, I was like, I did not choose that. I tried my best to like it because I did not want to be a bother. I just wanted to be a super easy client, which I was very kind. I loved them. I had so much fun with them. So I did not want to tell them, hey, this is not what I chose and it looks bad. So I honestly just marinated in it probably for like a good week and a half, trying to like it. And I was like, honey, I do not like it. This is something that I can't just, like, I did not want that to be how our shower looked like. Even the way that the tiles were cut were terrible. So I think it was about a week and a half later, Juan and I, we texted our builder and I was like, hey, can we come over to the office? Because I wanted to tell them in person. So when I talked to my builder, the only issue that I brought up was the grout color, because again, I did confirm the subway tile is fine and the pebbled floor is fine. So I wasn't going to backtrack and say, hey, it looks ugly just because it doesn't look how I expected. I didn't want to completely change up the whole entire style. I was like, hey, I just don't like the black. Is there any way that we can like fix that? And they were super apologetic, super nice. Come to find out, after we had already closed on our home, we went to the builder's office because we wanted to bring gifts for the team, and we kind of just ended up debriefing on kind of like the journey of building, and just so sad that like we weren't going to see each other regularly anymore. It was actually the vendor that made the mistake and just did such sloppy work, even with the way that they put the grout on. It got onto the ceiling, the way that they cut the tiles. But at that time, they hadn't gone to the house yet to even catch that the grout was black. So what ended up happening was they had to switch vendors, and they just ripped out all the tile and redid it completely, because they didn't want to just put white grout over the black grout, because then over time it was going to wear and it was just going to be a pain in the butt. So they ended up tearing out the shower. I don't know, honestly, I don't know why it took so long, but the shower remained as it was until probably the last few weeks until close. I don't know why it took them so long to finally switch it out. But all in all, even though I still don't love how the tile looks, I was super pleased and happy with how they handled this situation. The next mistake, which was very minimal compared to the shower and some of the things that I'm about to say, but they actually ended up ordering the incorrect office doors, which are right here. So I'm not sure why, but I remember I was very particular with how I wanted our office to look. I knew I wanted it all black, black walls, black trim, black doors. I wanted French doors, that way I could just keep them open, and then I wanted them to be mostly glass. Well, originally the wrong office doors were sent to us. I think it was like 4 rows of 3 or 3 rows of 4. I'm not sure. I have a picture and I think I have a video, so I'll insert that here. And they were just not what I asked for. So the reason that they were white is because the doors come white and then they had to paint them black for me, which I'm not gonna lie, that was a hard task for them because as you saw, the doors came white and then there was plastic on all of the windows. So I have a project that I need to do because you can still see some of the white in the cracks and then you can see some of the plastic. Hasn't been on the top of my priority list, but if you actually go up to the door, you can see like the sloppiness, but I don't even work in my office, so it's not that big of a deal. So that was an easy fix, but kind of a bummer for the builder. They kind of had to eat that expense a little bit because like I said, they were painting our office doors black and they come white, and they worked with the manufacturer. They were going to do a quick swap and somewhere communication was lost. The builder told them, hey, do not paint the doors because we are going to return them, and if you paint them, we cannot return them. They were not painted for the longest time, weeks upon weeks upon weeks. And then of course, lo and behold, someone painted them black before they were able to be shipped back. So not something that we had to eat, but I remember coming and I was like, dang, like they went so long with following instructions and then someone just painted them black. Like, who did that? Okay, now this next one, when it happened, my heart literally dropped to the floor because I'm not exactly sure all the mistakes that had happened at this point, but I was like, oh my gosh, another thing, not to mention something that's this big of a mistake. Like, this is gonna take forever. So as you can see, our island is all flat. It's all even, it's all together. Our chairs are stool height versus bar height. I always just call them bar stools, but there are 2 different sizes, whether you have a bar or whether you have like a countertop. As you can see, our kitchen island here is just all one level, which is what I was expecting. Now, mind you guys know I love cooking, so I was very, very excited for the kitchen. At this point, our cabinets were already up and I knew that the countertops were gonna come next. So I was very excited to come to the house at this point to see the progress that was made. We come in and all of a sudden, the island is 2 different heights. Let me just not even further explain. Look what it's like now and then look at this video. You guys, I was so sad. Now, mind you, someone that has no experience as a general contractor looks at that mistake. I'm like, holy crap, that is going to take forever to fix. They have to level out the island. They installed outlets. Now they're gonna have to move the outlets somewhere else. Who knows how long it's gonna take for that countertop to be made. So I saw that and I was so upset. Mind you, that was the first mistake that I found that day. But I still looked at the rest of the house. They did the countertops in the kitchen. So lo and behold, they also did the countertops in the bathrooms, both the secondary and the master, which were incorrect, which I'll show you that here. At this point, it had been 6 to 8 months since we had had our selections meeting. So I can understand sometimes people may forget what they chose and be surprised at what it looks like. I know for a fact what I would not have chosen, and that is something I for a fact would not have chosen. So I did some research on my end. I took a screenshot and I was like, hey, this is what we asked for and this is what it looks like. And then I also told her about the countertops in the bathroom. So I sent it to her. She was like, oh my gosh, so sorry that happened. We will make sure to get that fixed. As far as the countertops in the bathroom, she didn't confirm anything on that night to me yet, because sometimes people forget what they choose and they think they didn't choose something and they actually did. the following day she said, hey, yes, we confirmed that that's not what you chose. And within a week or two, it was all fixed. So fun fact about that mistake. So you saw there were 2 levels to the bar area. There was the lower level, which had the cutout of the sink, and then the upper level, which was like the actual bar area where people sit and have their food and drinks or whatever. The upper area, they actually cut that and we allowed them to use it as the hearth for our fireplace. So luckily they were able to replenish some of the loss that they would have had with that. And it ended up working out because I don't remember what the original plan would have been if that mistake didn't happen, but it ended up working out. Okay, so next one, a little bit of a fun fact, which I think I've talked about before, but our fireplace was actually going to originally be all stone. Now, blessing in disguise and a little bit of a backstory, we again went out of town a certain week. We didn't see the house for a few days. We came back and there was a bunch of stone on the outside of our house, which we ended up finding out was for our fireplace. That particular day, it was actually raining and it rained on the fireplace stone, and it changed the color of the stone to look very, very dark, and I did not like it at all. Again, I just thought it was so ugly, and I was like, whatever, I chose it, it looks bad, but whatever. I was not gonna say anything to my builder about not liking the style because again, I chose that. Not their problem, whatever, they'll install it. Over the course of a few days, I was telling Juan, I really do not like that stone. I cannot believe that I chose that. It looks a lot different in person than it does on the website. And again, it did get rained on during that time. So when we saw it a few days later and it was all dry, it did look lighter, but I kind of just already had like the distaste in my mouth towards the stone. And then a few weeks before closing, our builder said, hey, we do not have enough stone to complete your project. So do you want to choose out another stone, or do you want to delay the closing of your house for a few months? So mind you, I worked inside of a banking center during this time and I had a close working relationship with my mortgage lender. So I was always kind of keeping him in the loop. He was keeping me in the loop. At some point recently when that conversation happened, he was telling me how I needed to close on my house by a certain date, and if not, my rate was going to go up. This was in 2022, and you guys know how the rates have been going. So at that point, we were like down to the wire. We were only a few weeks away from that deadline because at that point, the house was already almost wrapped up, which is why we were locked into a rate, because I think you're only locked in for like 60 days. So we were like, okay, let's get locked in now. That way we have a lower rate. And just to give you an idea of how down to the wire we were on that date, we were literally only like 2 or 3 days away from our rate changing versus when we actually closed. So I was like very lucky on that. So we talked to our builder, we looked at some catalogs just to see if there were any other stone options that I liked, which honestly I was very relieved because like I said, I did not like the stone when I saw it. At that point I was like, you know what, I don't even really need stone. Let's try like a stucco. So we brought that idea to our builder. And I guess at that point, no one had done a stucco with them before. So I had to kind of show them what it was. They didn't already have a vendor that they worked with to do that. They ended up finding one within a few days and they quoted a price that I found very unreasonable because I find stucco to be something that you can DIY yourself. So I was like, you know what? Don't do stone, don't do stucco, leave it as is, and we will do a project on it later. And as you guys know, we did a lime wash on it and I love it. It's a very, very minimal and I'm super glad that it ended up working out that way. I just can't imagine if I would have wanted to do another project on the fireplace having to take off all that stone. So it's definitely a blessing in disguise that the fireplace didn't end up working out, and of course we ended up saving a ton of money on the stone that we would have used on the fireplace. So definitely a win-win, and we got to close on time. So the last few run-ins that we had were not as major, but at the point that they happened I was like, okay, just add it to the list of things that can go wrong. So we actually ordered our appliances to be delivered and installed into our house before we closed, and I'm not exactly sure why we did that, but thank goodness. Anyways, Juan and I, we ended up leaving work early to get our appliances delivered. They were bringing the washing machine, they were bringing everything. So they installed everything minus the refrigerator, because the first refrigerator that they delivered came scratched, and they were like, hey, we can get you a new one. We were like, okay, get us a new one. So they installed everything minus the fridge on that day. They had taken the doors off of the latches because they painted them all white, because the office doors came white, but then the other doors came in like a gray color, and they originally hung them up, I think, to probably level them, and then later they took them down because they needed to paint them all. While the doors were down is when our washer and dryer got installed. And that was unintentional. That was just very, very lucky. And then a couple days later, they installed the doors. When we opened the laundry room door, it actually was not able to open all the way because it was opening into the washer and dryer. And kind of in hindsight, the placement for the washer and dryer does not even make sense. They should have put it on a different wall. But that's neither here nor there. That was an easy fix. I think within the next few days, they switched it and it looks good as new. It doesn't even look like it was messed up to begin with. And then when the fridge got delivered a few days later, probably, I was not there for that because I was at work. One, he was the one to come, and he was here with the delivery guys, and the crevice for where the fridge was supposed to go was not big enough to fit the refrigerator, and the delivery guys have to install it and plug it in to make sure that it works. So Juan called the builder, they came over really quick, and it was a very, very easy fix. Juan said that all that they did was remove like the floor baseboards, and then the fridge was able to slide in perfectly. Last thing that I wouldn't necessarily consider a mistake, but it ended up getting damaged and they had to replace, was actually our garage doors. The reason I even ended up choosing to build with my builder is because I ran into an ad that they had on Facebook of like a house that, it was like an image, it wasn't like a real house, it was kind of just like a rendering, I guess, and it had a wooden style garage door, and I just thought it was so beautiful, and I really just wanted a wood style garage door. So keep that in mind. And with the garage, I think the budget was like, it was not a lot. I would say maybe like $2,000 maybe. We got a custom garage that was like almost $5,000. So the garage door was actually installed very, very fast. It was like one of the first things that was put on after the house was off of the ground. So we saw that very, very quickly. It came out beautifully, which, best decision ever. Anyways, so I looked at it a lot because like I said, that was like my biggest priority and the reason I built with the builder. Obviously I took pictures. Towards the end, I would say the last few weeks, I noticed that there was some kind of unidentified like splatters, and I did not know what it was, and it did not come off. I remember I saw it, I tried scratching it off, I tried wiping it off, and it would not come off. And I was like, that for sure was not there, and if it does not come off, this needs to be fixed. Because, and they were on like different panels. We have like a 3-car garage, and they were on both, but not all of the panels had it. So I texted my builder and she was like, don't worry, I'll go out tomorrow and I'll see if I can clean it. So she went to the house, she wasn't able to clean it off. She talked to the crew and nobody knew what it was. And then the project manager was like, oh, it must have already been there. Like I said, I took pictures. I was like, oh no, it wasn't there. I have pictures. I can send you the pictures of what it looked like before the splatter. And I sent them the picture, and it in fact was not there. So after we closed, the company ended up coming to the house to see which panels were damaged. They remade them, and then one of us had to be home for them to replace them, and then that was that. Also, I just remembered another minor mistake that was made that worked to our benefit. We actually got upgraded light switches because they installed the incorrect ones, and they kind of just let us have the win. So that was super nice of them. They were actually the light switches that Juan originally wanted, and I think we just went with the simple ones just to kind of save money. We were like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then they were accidentally upgraded, and the builder was like, you know, just keep them. So that was very, very nice. But all in all, looking back, I am so grateful for that experience, especially at such a young age. I never imagined being able to build the house of my dreams, and it just feels so good to like look back at those memories. And I have a ton of footage for that time because I used to come to the house and I would film any kind of like major development. So I'm thinking about making a video and just compiling that all together. That way you could kind of see like a real time of what I was seeing. I wasn't able to finish that process all the way to the end because at some point I was a little bit discouraged. But I'm thinking about making a video just so you guys can really see the timeline 2 years ago of what it was like, to kind of see that. I think it would be exciting even to see just for myself. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any other specific questions on the home building process, leave them down below and I'd be more than happy to answer. But without further ado, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to give me a like and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on any future content. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.